Today in VR, we have a jam-packed show for you guys. So the first part, we're going to go into our 1 week impressions of the Quest 3, talk about any more games that we played, as well as our further thoughts and accessories and any extra accessories that we may have picked up over the last week. Elsewhere, Assassin's Creed Nexus has got a massive preview on IGN and on Upload VR, so we dive into the best bits just to know like what the differences are from Quest 2 to Quest 3, how long the game's going to be, how the parkour is going to be like, and the accessibility. There's a lot to unpack there, and I'm very excited about the game. And then our second part of the show, we're joined by a special guest. We're joined by Robin Moulder, the CEO at £3 Games. She talks about the new game that £3 Games is putting out, and that's called Grocket. And also she talks about her past and this year's experience of the Meta Connect. So let's talk Oculus. Let's Talk Oculus, a VR podcast, is proudly sponsored by the good folks at Patreon. If you want to support the show, join us on patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. What's up, Oculus nerds? Welcome back to Let's Talk Oculus episode 107. I'm your host, as always, Dan from Playtest VR, and I'm joined by my Christmas host. It is Samson. How you doing?
Chris Kringle over here. 'Tis the season. We can almost listen to holiday music. Actually, one of our game releases is sort of a winter theme, so that's why I did this, Dan. That's why I did this.
Yeah, for those on the audio listeners, Samson's pretty much wearing a Christmas sweater. It's not that Christmassy, but it's close. It's definitely close. So
I think it's got a nice autumn hue.
A nice autumn hue.
Nice.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have a two-part show for you today. Our first part of the pod is going to be like the regular show. We're going to go through further impressions on the Quest system itself. The latest on Assassin's Creed Nexus has just dropped as well. And of course, we'll go through the games out this week. And then in the second part, we have an interview with Robin Moulder, who is the CEO at £3 Games. She talks about their latest mixed reality game, Grocket, and her experiences at MetaQuest 2023 and all the previous ones. She's an OG. She's a veteran in this industry. So it was a great chat with her. So definitely stay tuned for that. All right, Samson, it's been 1 week since we've had the Quest 3 now. Any developing thoughts on what we spoke about last week? Like, you've got more chance to try that battery strap, more chance to see through those pancake lenses. Any additional thoughts from what we built on last week?
Yeah, I've got some addendums, if you will, Dan. Got some addendums. So,
go on.
All right, I'm Elite Strap with the battery. Okay, comfort wise, it's okay. I still want my dang Halo strap, Dan. They have not been in stock at all.
Zero.
I refreshed that Amazon page a lot, but to no avail. Yeah. And I've been using it a lot more outdoors. Works very well outdoors. And I played some more Synth Riders, but this time I didn't play in mixed reality. I've been having trouble in mixed reality. It's been kind of buggy for me. I'll boot into a song and it will freeze. It'll show 000 and then not do anything. And so I have to quit the whole game.
Interesting. I've not had that experience at all. Yeah. The Synth Riders has been
neither has Kim.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's happened like 4 times for me. So I might try to uninstall and reinstall the game, that typical sort of hack, if you will. But the tracking, I want to talk about the tracking. The tracking worked better than when I had done it in mixed reality. I was not missing any notes. Though I do find that I use the controllers different knowing which controllers I'm holding. So I wasn't doing things I would do with the Pro.
Fair enough.
On purpose, I think.
Yeah. And then have you paired your Pro controllers?
No, Dan, I haven't. And here's why. It's a really long story, but I gave my brother's Quest to my cousin. I gave my brother's Quest to my cousin, right? but my brother's coming back home, so I'm going to give him my Quest 2, but my Quest 2 controllers have really bad stick drift, so I can't in good conscience give him that with those. So really I'm hoping he'll just use the Pro controllers for a little bit. He'll try my Quest 3 and then he'll buy that.
Yeah, fair enough. That's interesting. I'm interested to see if you have is there a noticeable difference in terms of that tracking from that Pro controller to the Quest Touch controllers? Obviously now using the IR ring.
Yes, in that you can like grab behind your back and things like this that I don't even need to really test them to know
It's true
that the Quest 3 controllers can't act like there's no scientific reason for them to be able to track back there. They're just using the AI, and yeah, the AI could be good, but is it going to be exact? I don't think
now,
so.
On the tracking, what we've found out over the last week, unless people knew this, I didn't have a clue on this, but a lot of accessories that cover the bottom, they just don't work. They just don't work with the new Quest controllers. And the reason why is because let's say you're using the Hello Real Golf Club, the way it tracks is that there's also an IR like sensors at the bottom of the actual controller itself. So it needs to see that to be able for it to track, as well as obviously your hands holding it and such. So it's not able to track. And there has been a few companies who have already acted to improve this. So I think ProTube VR realized this, and their new attachments for the Quest 3 basically have like a hole at the bottom so the controllers can still be tracked.
Yeah.
Unsure if this is going to work. I'm sure it is because they're now shipping. They must have tested it. But that's interesting to note. So anything that you own Quest 2 wise, accessory wise, in terms of like sports handles and all that stuff, aren't really going to work with the Quest 3. They might fit just fine because the contours are pretty much similar. But yes, the club that you're holding, the Walkabout club, is not going to fit. But just like Hello Real said for the PlayStation VR 2 version, is that you can just hot swap the top. So you'd probably have to just buy a Quest 3 adapter and then you should be able to use it. But they're not out yet. But that was just interesting to note that they use the bottom of the controller to track.
When they can't see the top of the controller.
Yeah, exactly. Which did surprise me. In terms of me, what I've done is I got screen protectors for the Quest 3's front 3 cameras, I would say.
Did you?
Yep. So they're basically like a glass screen protector for your phone, and it came in a pack of 9. And essentially, they just fit perfectly on the front for all 3. And then that's pretty much all it is. Like as I'm testing it, I've had no issues. It's just exactly the same. It works fine. The only reason why I wanted to get it is because I occasionally put my hand on that to take the Quest off, or if I'm drinking out of a sports bottle whilst I'm doing the workout, it occasionally hits that camera and such. And I don't think they're going to protect it too much in terms of damage. And if I hit it really hard, but it will stop from like scratching or anything like that, and they could be scratchable surfaces. So yeah, that's the only reason I bought it, and it was only $10 Canadian. So
did it change the image at all? Did you put like one on and leave one off so you could kind of see the difference in headset?
No, I didn't, but it didn't do anything. It's pretty clear, which is really nice. And then it stops any like smudginess or anything, like with your fingerprints, which is really helpful as well. And with the depth sensor, it basically just has a hole cut out, which is pretty big. So, they're the most easiest screen protectors you'll ever need to put on because it's so like there's only one place you can put it, and it's not very large either. So I got that, and also from the same company.
That's what she said.
From the same company that I forget, that's from Amazon Canada. I'll put a link in the description. But I also bought these silicone covers. I'm showing you on the camera, but on the audio listeners, I'm using, basically it's a black silicone cover.
I could hear you.
Yeah, a black silicone cover, which kind of fits over the facial interface. I bought it more for exercise because, as I mentioned last week, I think the facial interface could be more like a towel where it could absorb your sweat. And obviously I didn't want that for workouts. And I usually use this for the Quest 2 anyway. But what I noticed is that it actually makes the facial interface even more comfortable with the silicon. So I've actually tended to keep this on more often than not. And it came in a pack of two, a white one and a black one. And it also came with this nose
Solving
blocker.
race relations.
This is this nose blocker thing that basically goes to the bottom of the headset so you can't see the light through the bottom.
So you can block the light. Yeah. How do you find the light leakage is for you?
Not much. Not much. I barely noticed it. It's not as good as what the PlayStation VR was, but I barely noticed it, to be honest.
Yeah, I noticed it. I feel like it's better than on my Quest 2. And the Quest 2 I have has the VR cover, like, nose thing there even.
Yeah.
And it still feels like it blocks more. Like on the Quest 2, I can confidently and easily, without touching the headset, look through and use my phone. Whereas on this one, I kind of have to like nudge it a little bit. It's hugging there. But Dan, I've put on my Quest 2 a few times over the last week. Not really to do much. I was trying to play multiplayer games with my friend who was visiting. Get into that later.
Yeah.
But oh my god, Dan, I need that PU leather. It's so comfy. It's so comfy. And the Halo strap. Oh, I miss it all so much.
Yeah, I know. I actually don't mind. I still don't mind the facial interface to this day. My partner was actually playing Walkabout in it just a moment ago before the podcast started. And she felt like it was pretty comfortable on the front. The only thing she noticed, and I've noticed this too, is that the Quest 3 does get really hot. And it's not hot to like being uncomfortable, but you can definitely feel it on the front, and you can slightly hear, obviously when there's no speakers, you can hear the noise from the fans as well. So it does get really hot. I'm intrigued to see what the thermals on it, but they've had no issues for it getting hot. But yeah,
somebody released those. I think it was iFixit did a thermals on it. It looked warm. And so I've seen people comment about the fans. I don't notice them though. I'm usually listening to content's too loud or with headphones.
Yeah, exactly. And also, so I've obviously had the Elite strap, and last week I said with the Elite strap, it's not been as comfortable as the Quest 2, but I finally got it right. It was more with the head strap part, the one that goes at the top. Trying to get that right.
And top strap's key.
Once that top strap is in the right position, it's pretty comfortable. And then, like I said, partner just used it, and the last time she used the Quest was last week when she played a bit of Walkabout and such, and she was like, it's a night and day difference, because the last time she played it with the soft strap, and she was like, this is a night and day difference. This is way more comfortable. And she said, I can continue playing it. And she was in there for like 45 minutes. She played both Walkabout.
The 512.
Also,
sorry,
I was about to say she played both Walkabouts hard and easy for the new course, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, and also just kept playing and then started playing Cubism on hand tracking and such. So she's addicted to it. It's just a little bit too expensive for a gift, but there ain't no Quest 2, in terms of expense. But sorry, what were you going to say?
The 512 should come with the basic Elite strap is what I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, I also think why can't I buy the Elite strap in colors? Why am I limited to buying the as Eric Masher calls it, the jock strap?
Yeah, why is it just white and black?
I'm not gonna spend $50 on something I'm not gonna use. That's the first thing I removed. But I'd buy a cool color Elite strap.
Yeah, that's true. I'd buy a cool colored facial cover, like if there was a red or something like that. I think it will look cool. But we'll wait till VR cover does its stuff. Interesting note, I've heard you say this and a few other people saying your eyelashes are hitting the lenses. I think Techman mentioned it as well. Now, I have pretty long eyelashes too, but I've never had an issue with the lenses. Now, my partner, when she went in, she realized that it was hitting the lenses, so I just put it up one spacer, and then that fixed the problem. Just kind of like what you mentioned last week. So
That's what I've done.
yeah, that is definitely interesting. But yeah, apart from that, hardware-wise, more the same. Oh, one thing, I have gotten used to the sharpness now, so it just feels normal to me. And I'm like worried if I went back to the. I don't have a Quest 2 anymore, so I'm actually intrigued if you went back to the Quest 2 and had a look. It looked like a potato, but now I'm so used to it. It's like when you get a first 4K or HD TV, it's like I can't go back now. I'm used to this sharpness. This is just normal. It no longer wows me, is what I'm trying to say.
It's like when I walk into the room and my dad's watching a non-HD cable channel when there's an HD version of it. I'm like, what are you doing, man? I don't know. I didn't notice. Okay.
I didn't notice. All right, let's go to the software wise in terms of software wise before what we've been playing. One really annoyance, and I think I mentioned it last week, and I'll mention it again. The app library not being able to just filter by installed games is ridiculous. How you've just got like hundreds of games if you're one of us who have hundreds of games. Obviously, Samson, you'll have even more than that, and they're just there. They're all like all the games that are not installed are blacked out, and then the games that are installed, you can see the picture, but they're all just mixed in together. Like back on the Quest 2 days, at least you could filter it just for installed games, but at least you could when you play a game.
Wait, you can filter it.
You can't. So you have to click on the search bar first, and then you can filter it.
Yeah.
And then it's a list. It's a long list.
I have like two arrows. I think it's in like where I select the unknown sources. That's where I select the like installed games or something.
I wonder if it's just been updated or something, because I know when you go into the app library, it's basically just how it is. And even when you know how sometimes when back in the day when you click on an app or install an app, it brings it to the top, right? This time it just leaves it there. So basically, I've got wolves in the walls.
Wait, no. You got to sort by recent.
Yeah, I don't have any sorting unless it's just been updated.
No, so in the top right of all of this of your library should be sort A to Z, sort Z to A, and sort recent. You like those options should be.
You know what? I'm going to go on it right now. Let me know what you've been playing whilst I'm searching through this. Go for it.
All right, I'll start with what I've been playing. So, I'll start with a little story. So I had a friend come to town. She had tried VR before with me, but got a little bit of VR sickness. You know, she felt it. She felt uncomfortable before. Mm-hmm. We played VR Giants, which is an asymmetrical Steam game where one person plays like a platformer. She was in VR. Her character is chained to the ground, but can kind of move, and you interact with the world to solve puzzles. Pretty much the plot. She loved it and said it. She never at any point felt sick like before. She was using the Quest 3. She loved the clarity as well. Then we played Late for Work, which is also an asymmetrical game. Late for Work is meant to be played 1 versus 4, probably 1 to 4. So 1 versus 1 was not an ideal situation, but how often do I have real friends over? So I gave it a whirl. There are a few mini games in it. And it was clear it would be better with a group. One of the mini games was me driving a car that had a flag, but there were other NPC cars driving around, and she was a gorilla, and she had to come find me and crush my car.
That's quite funny.
They're all like vaguely similar to this, trying to blend in. The flat gamers are trying to blend in, and the VR gamers trying to destroy.
That's cool. I feel like we need more of those type of games where, you know, you have that interactivity with people who are playing on a flat screen to the person in VR and such. And that sounds really cool.
Yeah, I feel like there should be some phone games that do that, like where the person kind of like Acron.
There is,
I guess.
Yeah.
That seems a bit better than, or at least more people have cars or
phones.
Not cars. Well, I guess maybe cars, but phones.
No, you're right. For the PS5 or PS4 rather, there are a few titles that I can't remember what they're called, but basically you can interact with it using your phone. kind of like a Jackbox style, but they're actually like games in there, and basically one person can play it on the PlayStation, and the other one could be on the phone doing things that affect the game as well. So they have a few like that.
That's
They have a
cool.
few like that. Just on the filter thing, it's. I think we're talking about the wrong thing here. So basically, on the app library, when you click it and you see all the thumbnails, right? Only, not the text, just thumbnails. There's no filter or sort button in the top right. It's only when you click on the search bar at the top, and that's when you get all the filters and a set sort by recents and all that stuff. It's not in the actual thumbnails itself, and that's what annoys me basically, because like I downloaded did I download it? Yeah, I almost downloaded Netflix earlier, but for some reason it couldn't install because it was doing like an update or something like that. So basically I have like few apps, and then I've got Netflix right in the middle, which is still dark because it's not installed, and it's like, why isn't this further down and all my apps are further up? Or just like, it went backwards because Quest 2 had it in a decent shape where you could at least filter it and such, and have like, you can click on the side and you click on like unknown sources to see all your side loaded ones and all that stuff. And now it's just like,
I mean, you can do all of this. You just have to click
you have to click
top.
in the search bar, and then it becomes a whole list, and then you can do the filter and such. But I feel like it should just be on the thumbnails just to make it easier. But yeah, anyways. I'll move on to something that I have been playing instead of just moaning about the UI. I played Pistol Whip, Elixir of Madness, which is the new Halloween DLC.
Halloween.
Yeah,
theme,
and basically
right?
how they're doing it is it's free, and it comes out, I think, once a week. So they had one that came out last week, another one that came out a few days ago, and then another one next week, just in time for Halloween, which is a nice way to kind of pace it. So I played the first two, and they're so much fun. They're just classic Pistol Whip. Obviously, it looks sharp as ever in the Quest 3, and it's really fun. You have
Is it spooky?
it's more of like a Halloween dance. It's like, the Monster Mash kind of feel, of kind of like a horror game. It's you have the NPCs are skeletons, and they're trying to shoot you, but you also have them just dancing around like crazy, like a lot of the other Pistol Whip maps and such. And yeah, the songs are solid. I don't think they're like my favorite songs, but they're Halloween themed and such, and they're fun. So yeah, and it kind of builds on, both of them just build on each other. So I'm intrigued to see if it's going to be just a standalone song for the third one, or are they going to do campaign style where there is a little bit of a boss fight at the end? I'm not too sure if they'll do that. But yeah, really fun. It's completely free. So if you have Pistol Whip, which I'm pretty sure most people have, definitely give that a go for sure.
And if you don't get it,
get it. It's just a top quality game, but don't put it into people who are new for VR, because it can cause motion sickness. Anyway, back to you.
I've remembered to put my Google Doc of referral keys into the description. So if you're looking for like one of 170 or so games, in the description, my referral keys.
Yeah,
go for
I
it.
used it the other day. I used it for Les Miserables. No, that's the play. Les Mills Body Combat. I used that the other day because I wanted to use it for the YouTube video I was doing, and that was the only one with mixed reality. And yeah, it was okay. It was fine. It wasn't great. Like, Synth mixed reality is much better when it obviously works for you, but like, because it has all the cool effects and such. But
Dan,
yeah. Sorry, go on, continue.
Dan, talking about these apps in mixed reality, Beat Saber is owned by Meta, and they didn't come out with a Quest 3 launch mixed reality.
No, they didn't come out with any enhanced visuals. Like, they kind of did with the Linkin Park stuff, but they didn't. It wasn't like specifically enhanced for Quest 3 or anything like that. It's just, they just improved visuals, but that's like all year round, all headset rounds. So yeah, it is weird. But they also, Supernatural also didn't either, and they're owned by them too.
True. I did get the Linkin Park pack, and I felt like I was 12 again.
Nice.
I enjoyed it, Dan. I enjoyed it.
What was the visuals like?
Did you get it?
No, I didn't get it.
Did you get it? Yeah, honestly, it's been so long since I hopped in so they sort of update and then they build on one another. So it's been a few since I've been in, so I don't know what's been added or
Fair.
not. I feel like last time I was in, it was when they added you hit a block and then it's got a line kind of to the next block. And the slices. This was like one of the first time I dealt with the sliced blocks or whatever.
Okay, it's been a while.
But yeah, it looked and felt cool. I like this music. Yeah, I like this music. I like this, crawling in my skin. I love it. I love it, man. It's tough. I like to play in hard so I can kind of hop.
Tough. Beat Saber's difficulty levels they go from like, okay, this is fairly fun, we're playing like a dancing, and then it just becomes insane, and it's weird. It's so different to synth riders and such. It's such a different kind of level up system.
I need like a hard plus. I'm like, hard is a little slow for me and I can crush it. Expert, I just fall apart eventually. Like I start off, I'm like, yeah, okay, all right. And here's the thing. I can't Beat Saber involves too much thinking. All right. That's it. I gotta look at the freaking arrow. I gotta know which that it means go up. Like, and it's so much to process. You're trying to process it all so fast. You've got to memorize the songs. Synth riders, I can like sight read songs on master and do well.
Fair enough.
Because I just know where to move.
Just follow the path.
I feel like it goes with the flow. Yeah. Whereas Beat Saber, I'm just like, what am I? What am I doing?
That's fair. Speaking of Beat Saber, I did play some Supernatural, which is like Beat Saber in fitness mode, and that's not been updated at all, but it just looks nice and sharp. And it's been a long time since I've been in Supernatural because I've been trying out other fitness apps. And honestly, when I went back into Supernatural today and did a tour...
Yeah, totally not because you've been lazy.
When I went back into Supernatural, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this feels like home again. And it's still definitely my favorite fitness app. Although I want to try Light Sport. I do own Light Sport, but I think there might be a subscription now. And someone said in Discord this week that they did like it. I can't remember who.
Yeah, it's $18.99, I believe. D-Max.
Yeah, double the price of Supernatural now. So yeah, I'm willing to. I just want to try it out. Maybe there's a trial or something like that. I've probably already used it, but like, I do want to try that one out. But yeah, Supernatural once again. It just felt like home going back into there. And the other game that I can really talk about is actually I can't talk about it because it didn't really work. I have the Drop Dead mixed reality mode, which comes out. Yeah, it comes out to everyone on the 25th. I'm not sure if there's an embargo, but at the same time, I can't say anything anyway because it simply just didn't work for me. Basically, when I turned on mixed reality mode, there was a thing in the middle that I could press to, like a radar thing that I have to press. I could hear all the zombies, but I couldn't. They never came, and I was starting to get scared. I'm like,
the zombies
are they going to be behind
me
randomly, or just because there's no windows in the mixed reality space? There's meant to be windows where they come in, and I couldn't see the windows. I was like, okay, are they just going to come through the wall or something like that? And it just didn't work. And I tried it multiple times, and for some reason, and I did my whole play setup again and my room setup and such, and it never worked. So I couldn't get that one to work. And then I also couldn't get what was I going to say? The Aspire 1 to work, just because it needed a much bigger play space where I could give it.
It
says
your whole house,
better
right?
just to map out your whole house and do it. And I was like, I ain't got time for that. But because they have two sets of mixed reality missions in there, so yeah, I can play that either. So apart from Walkabout Mini Golf, which I'll mention briefly in a moment, that's all I've been playing. Is there anything else that you've been obviously?
Wait, Grocket?
Oh yes, of course, Grocket. Well,
Grocket.
We'll talk about that more in the second part with Robin, obviously. So yeah, we'll leave that to the second part.
Yeah, I'll leave my Grocket to the second part too. Then I'm just gonna loop back to my friend Joan, who's visiting, because I also put her in Crow the Legend,
nice,
and she loved it, of course, because it's a great film, and I recommend it to everybody. And she loved that the mixed reality is sort of what Quest 3 boots into. She was a big fan of that. Like, it made her feel a lot more present and more comfortable.
Yeah. I can see
and
that.
I'm all
I
for
can see
that.
that. I
Um,
love booting into mixed reality now. By the way, I that's my standard now. Like, it just feels much better than being in that VR world to me. It's just so much nicer.
quite honestly, it had been my standard for about the last year. I had been using pass through just
Yeah,
black and white
yeah,
as
yeah,
my
yeah.
home.
It's good. I prefer it.
Not obviously because it looked great, but it made it easier for getting
Yeah,
ready
yeah, yeah.
to
That's
VR.
fair. That's fair.
Uh, so Thrill the Fight, I played in mixed. So I've been doing a lot of VR outside. Once I saw a few people play videos of them playing outside, I was like, oh, let's see how well it works. I haven't had any issues. I have not been in direct sunlight, but I haven't been necessarily avoiding sunlight either. In my NFL Pro era, the sun was definitely hitting me like at some
Hmm.
points when I moved. Anyway, I digress. I'll get to that in a second. Thrill the Fight is built for mixed reality. You can see your box all around you. It's all you're focused on just them. Already the visuals are pretty basic, right? You don't really need those visuals in Thrill the Fight. They don't add much. And being able to punch with and know that you're not
That's
going to hit
big.
something and move around. I was moving around
Yeah,
so much in my ring.
that's
It was
definitely big.
incredible,
That
man.
makes a big difference because,
It was
to be fair,
incredible.
the through the fight, the way not the pass through, the way the guardian works until the fight, it's very clever. Where whatever you set your guardian to, it will use that. So make sure that you're not like near the edges or anything like that, which is really good. But yeah, if you're swinging haymakers, it's always nice to know that you are not going to hit a window or hit a wall, because obviously if you miss and you go through your pass
Yeah.
through, the pass through ain't going to stop you from punching that wall. So that is nice. I also, by the
Yeah.
way, it's nice not having tracking rings because I remember hitting the tracking rings against the walls or against the ceilings sometimes. So it's nice not to have the tracking rings.
In Synth Riders, I bumped my controllers together and I thought in my head, wow, that would have hit really hard on the rings together
Absolutely,
for
absolutely.
sure.
So you said NFL Pro, you're playing the new one?
Yes, yes, yes. I bought NFL Pro Era, came out on Monday for some reason. And I have not actually played a football game yet, Dan. I boot
Mm-hmm.
into the tutorial and you learn how to call play, all that jazz. And then it has you load into a locker room. And from here, I wasn't really sure where to go. So I saw two arcade
Yeah.
machines and I just walked towards them, and they were a place for mini games. And I saw a quarterback pocket drill or something like this. And I knew exactly what this was because I spent far too many hours playing Madden 2001 through Madden
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
2006. And there used to be a drill you could do in the preseason where it was called pocket presence. So you have a circle and you got to move around the circle, dodging balls that are coming at you to make passes. And in this, you've got yellow balls being shot at you from
Mm-hmm.
ball shooters. And you've got a circle around your feet or whatever, and you've got to dodge them, but staying in the circle. And then somebody's in your ear saying there's three people to throw it to, or poles, or big balls. I don't know what's out there. I think it's supposed. Anyway, it says middle, left, right, and you're tossing it to them. And that's what I've spent the better part of my
Yeah.
time doing
You
in
didn't
that
even play a
game,
game. You said you've not.
and it's been fun. I don't even need to play. I don't even need to play a
That's
football game. Yeah,
funny.
I'm just there. I'm just enjoying
You could have got
the
the OG
nostalgia.
NFL
Yeah.
Pro on discount and had a great time with it at the same time. But that's fine. I did want to read out something.
Did it have all those drills in it? It had all those drills.
Yes, yeah, it did. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if they've added more drills because I haven't bought it myself. But yes, it definitely had the drill that you put on TikTok, I'm pretty sure. But I just want to read out a comment from friend of the show, Josh, who basically tweeted at us, basically saying, because he's played the original one like I have and has got the second one as well. And he said that only one game, he's only logged in one game at the moment, but he's massively disappointed with the lack of improvement of the actual gameplay and in-game visuals. Just a bunch of locker room and ancillary BS added, which I could care less about. And then he said it's an incredible experience on the whole, but he feels borderline ripped off, having bought both after just the first game. It feels exactly the same in game, and he's also still seeing wrong names and numbers on players, which is pretty disappointing. Because that I was worried about that, to be honest, going into this one, because it didn't talk about anything, right? It was just like, oh, they're adding multiplayer, which is what they were meant to add before, at least what they promised, so.
Yeah, it has full field multiplayer. Like, you're meant to go to a football field and you can do something multiplayer. I'm not even sure, Dan. And I'm not sure what this could possibly add to going to a full field with my buddy with a football.
Yeah.
Like, what more could me and somebody else do in VR together in football?
Yeah, I think it's more the visuals on Quest 2 when the first game came out. It was pretty good, like solid for what it was. But yeah, you would expect a little bit of a increase or step up, or at least the AI. Like when I reviewed the first one on my YouTube channel, one of the things that I said about the AI is a little bit stupid, especially if you're going to run the ball.
Yeah.
If you're running the ball, you are going to score a touchdown, even if you're, on the other side of the field. If you're on your own touchdown line, you're gonna run and score. And it's a bit stupid in terms of that. But if you can bypass that and just pretend the AI is not stupid, so I can't run.
So you just feel superhuman.
Yeah, exactly. You feel like Superman. But I'm glad you're enjoying it, though, especially if you've not had the first one. It's going to be a new experience. I'm intrigued to see more of your thoughts.
I skipped that on purpose.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to mention Walkabout Mini Golf. As of the podcast is live, you'll probably buy the new Walkabout Mini Golf course. It's Widow's Walkabout is what it's called. We've obviously had it for a little bit of time. You've not played it right yet. So what we're going to do is next week we'll talk about it in a bit more detail and such, kind of like we did with the last course, and give people a week to kind of play it and such. But just really surface level thoughts. I won't spoil what the hard mode is, but because we're doing surface level, but it's great. It's really good. And I'm not going to lie, it scared the crap out of me. And the reason why is because, and I won't tell you where or when or anything like that, but when you start the game, it basically says there's enhanced effects that you can toggle on and off depending on your comfort level. I was like, okay, let me go into the settings. Let me just see what enhanced effects. And basically there was just only one, and it said spiders, tick or no tick. And I was like, okay, that's a no tick immediately, because what I did is
is there extra spiders?
I didn't see one spider when I played it because I turned it off. But I went in to the avatars, because there's a bunch of new hats and all that stuff for the Halloween theme. And there was one where it was literally just a spider on top of your head. And I looked at it and I was like, that is too realistic and too big for my liking, so I turned it off. And there's another enhancement in the hard mode, but I won't get into it because it will involve any spoilers. But it honestly scared me. It honestly spooked me out playing it on my own. But at the same time, it's a really, really good and well-designed and pretty course, just like a lot of them. And so,
Dan, we'll probably be playing with the Discord tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what everybody is going to put on their head.
Okay, I might have to dip out. But anything, that's everything from me in terms of what we've been playing. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention before we move on to Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, just a little bit more. So I played Spatial Ops, which is free on SideQuest right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you set up a big barrier, or, guardian, if you will, and you play laser tag, basically. You're meant to play with other people where you can co-locate, but I didn't have other people, so I played against bots. And you set up barriers, like things you can hide behind, and you set your weapon drops, and then you just go, and you're just running around, dipping and diving. I want to play with a much bigger space. I had only used my Thrill of the Fight space for that, so it was larger than any of my rooms, but not enormous.
Fair enough.
I played Eye of the Temple outside. That was incredible. And I played that in the huge space that I played Thrill of the Fight. And
That's perfect.
I played for about an hour. Yeah, it was very nice. It was the longest I think I had played one session in that game.
Mm-hmm. I can't play outside anymore.
And I had no idea where I was.
I can't play outside because Vancouver's just full of rain now. So I'm going to have to find a big hall if I wanted to play in a big space. But
it is starting to get cold here, but yeah, it's still doable.
Fair enough.
And then I played a bunch of Coaster Mania, where you make roller coasters.
Weren't you playing this last week as well? I feel like you...
Yeah.
And you could go first person, right, in the coasters?
You can.
That's cool.
You can.
That's really cool.
And then, Dan, I just want to mention, in case some of our listeners want to try out mixed reality games, but they're like, I don't know what mixed reality games are out there. So these are a few on my list that I want to try in the near future. Skygaze Demo, The World Beyond. The World Beyond is the game that came with the Pro, I think, with that little character. I don't know. I'm not sure if it uses face tracking too, or it needs that, but I hope not. I'm gonna give it a whirl. Trackcraft, which has been getting a lot of talk in the Rough Talk.
I've seen that. Yeah.
VR Discord.
Yeah, I've seen that where you can make it's like your Hot Wheels in a way, where back in
Hot Wheels,
when you make your own kind of tracks and all that stuff, but in mixed reality, which looks fun.
Then Meteoric VR, Gravity Lab. And last but not least, the I Expect You to Die mixed reality.
Oh yeah, I forgot to try that. Yeah, I have that. The not called Home Invasion or something like that, right? Yeah, I forgot to try that.
Home Invasion is another one though.
That came out in the summer, didn't it? So yeah, I am yet to try that.
Yeah,
I'm yet to try that, but amazing.
And then I've seen just comments out there about the recording of mixed reality and how clear it is. And I think this is because how clear it is compared to how it looks in the headset. And I think that's because when it's recording, it doesn't have to reproject what it's recording to your eyes. And so it's just one time recording it, and that's what's being saved. And that's why when you see recordings of mixed reality, it generally looks clearer. The mixed reality, the real part looks clearer than what you would see if you were wearing the Quest.
I have actually not noticed that, and I recorded a whole YouTube video doing that. I just not noticed it, but that's interesting. All right, Samson, let's talk about a brand new game which is coming out in less than a month's time now. And that's Assassin's Creed Nexus. So there's been a big early access kind of reveal on that.
Huge.
Yeah, Upload VR got to play it a lot, and also had an interview with the senior creative director. IGN have had a few videos on that, and they've had an 8-minute video, which is like a gameplay trailer, which Ubisoft published as well. And we've got we know now much more about the game. In fact, we know enough, I would say, to now just go ahead and buy the game itself. Like, we don't want to know anymore.
Oh, it looks so good. So
I wrote down a few quotes from the Upload VR article. You should definitely give it a watch, or give it a read, and definitely watch the 8-minute video that's on IGN's YouTube channel and such, which is the gameplay. It's really good to see. But a few quotes, and we'll talk about them. So basically, it felt familiar to mainline entries in terms of the parkour and such. Good level design, and it felt quite natural as well to like bounce off a wall and go onto another. Everything was like really well made for VR. The leaps of faith into the hay through giant heights can be turned off in a way. Well, not off perfectly, but basically you can add like lines to it. So if you have a fear to heights, it's not going to be bad. But yeah, sorry, what you're saying?
Yeah, that was a weird thing. I've never seen that way to help with VR heights, where basically was a way to show your grid always, either the floor or the whole thing. That would throw me the F off. I do not.
It's cool though. Like
And I will be doing Swan Dive into
Oh, for sure.
Hay. I will do it, Dan, and that's gonna be scary.
I can't wait to do it the
I can't
highest.
wait. It's gonna feel. That's gonna feel
The
cool.
highest building. But the cool thing in the 8-minute IGN video, they go through a lot of accessibility settings. So like the common ones in terms of like how to reduce motion sickness with tunneling, and also adding teleportation. But they also did one for parkour where you can literally just press a button and it will do the parkour for you. You don't have to grab anything, and it will show you.
Yeah, you kind of just glance.
It will just show you with blue using your head exactly where the parkour is going to be, and then it will continue doing it, which is really cool. There's a ton of accessibility, which is really nice. Back to the Upload VR article, though. Stealth play is fun. Flicking your wrist whilst holding the trigger activates the hidden blade, which is very satisfying, which seems to be fun. And he also said that air assassinations are entertaining, which is... I feel like it would be if you want to just like jump in the air, whip out the hidden blade, and kill the person. Yeah, which would be cool. And plus, like when you do any like air combat or like get the bow and arrow out in the air, it goes into a bit of a slow motion mode, which is common in like flat screen games, which is cool.
Since Max Payne.
Yeah, since the OG Max Payne. Freely explore the streets of Venice, which is really cool, which will be 1509 Venice. You can find collectible lore items and do parkour mini missions. Certain areas of Venice will be restricted, so it's not like fully open world, but it is a lot of freedom in there. And as you play through the different chapters of, say, Ezio's storyline, you will get to see more and more of Venice as you go. And the streets were filled with NPCs, which was really cool to see, kind of like how all the walkers are in Walking Dead, the enhanced edition for Quest 3, although some looked a bit rough and the resolution on the NPCs could be a bit sharper. I did notice that in just the trailers itself, like the actual NPCs looked very familiar to like the Medal of Honor NPCs, where they looked like a little bit rough on the edges and such, but we'll see how that looks in that.
All right, so I'd never really ever noticed or seen something in VR and thought to myself, that looks blurry. But when I was playing Eye of the Temple, I don't think that's been updated resolution for Quest 3. And I was looking at the temple, I'm like, that's blurry. This is what the PSVR people are talking about.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's like I get
it now. Those impressions were done by Henry Stockdale of Upload VR, by the way. I didn't mention his name whilst I was reading that. And then he also had an interview with the senior creative director, David I can't pronounce his last name, but essentially he's also on the 8-minute gameplay video. And we also learned a bit more about the differences between the Quest 2 version. So basically the Quest 3 version will have further draw distances and higher detail. So the textures will look crisper and will run at 90 hertz. No problem, apparently. But the Quest 2 will be around 80 hertz.
90 hertz, we got this.
Yeah, Quest 2 will be around 80 hertz. They said it would just be over 72 hertz. So it may dip towards 72. I don't know. We'll see. And
that's pretty good, though.
Yeah, pretty solid. Pavlov also just got announced to come to the Quest store, which has been on App Lab for about 2 years, or SideQuest or such. And that's also running on 72 hertz for Quest 2, but 90 in Quest 3, which is really interesting. That comes out in November. And the final thing of information that we got to learn, I mean, there was a bunch in that 8-minute video, but the length of the game is going to be similar to early Assassin's Creed games. So obviously not like the 60 to 100 hour ones that you have now. And I went back and I looked at Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 3, including like the Brotherhood and the Revelations DLC, and they average around 14 or 15 hours. So if it is accurate around that time, that's a really good amount of time for this game. And it's going to be full price, I'm pretty sure. But
yeah, Dan, I'm excited for it. I don't even want to see or know more. Just it's next month. Let's get it. Let's tell the people how it is. Hopefully it'll be good.
I'm buzzing for it. It comes out November 16th, and I'm so glad that all of the people who have played it and such are really liking what it is and such. So I'm absolutely buzzing.
Is there a pre-order bonus, like 10% off or
No,
something?
it just says coming soon on the store at the moment. I'm pretty certain this is going
Um,
to cost the same amount of money as the Asgard's Wrath, or maybe just a slightly bit less, like
I have a
$40.
question for you.
Yeah.
How long do you think the exclusivity lasts?
Yeah, that's a good shout. So basically, in the interview, they did get asked that, like, are they planning to bring it to other platforms? But they said no, they're just looking at Quest for now. But I can see it being like 1 year.
For now.
I can see it being 1 year of exclusivity, and I feel like next year, next September, would be like the PSVR2 version. I'd be pretty sure. I don't think it's going to stay at all. So that's totally fine. I just wonder what the
Damn.
size of
See,
it is.
uh, I can't. I mean, Asgard's Wrath 2 is going to be, I think, 30 or 20 to 30 gigs they announced.
Yeah.
So I imagine it'll be about that size if I had to take, a shot in the dark.
Assassin's Creed, by the way, will be
Yeah, I forgot what I was about to say before.
Assassin's Creed will be $40. By the way, at $40. So full price, and I'm just looking in, and there is nothing to do with the size. But I would imagine it will be around 20 gigs as well, to be honest. But we'll see. We shall see. I'm buzzing for it, and there's a lot of good games coming out, and we'll talk about the next one in a moment. But you've got the Seventh Guest VR coming out, basically as of today, which looks really promising. You've got Ghostbusters coming out as well, which I'm not as interested of. But for co-op fans, that might be pretty good. And then you've got the next big ones, Assassin's Creed, and there's so much more, coming out. So I'm buzzing. It's going to be a good time for VR.
I'm buzzing. I need people to use my referral links, please, so I can buzz about these games.
Yeah, he's used all the Patreon money on the Quest itself. Okay, games out this week, and then we'll wrap up this massive part one of a normal podcast before we get into, obviously, part two with Robin Moulder, CEO at £3 Games. So, Samson, kick it off. What is coming out this week, i.e. today?
Yes. Let me kick it off. That's a great transition from NFL Pro Era. I could also throw it off. Anyway.
Continue.
6 guests have been... I was really confused because I was like, it's called Seventh Guest, but this begins 6 guests, and I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I'm probably the 7th one, so let me just read this. And that was that whole process of me just staring blankly at the screen. Yeah, I apologize. Anyway.
Good God.
That was what I said to myself. Yeah. 6 guests have been welcomed to the foreboding mansion, but something sinister is at play. The wealthy recluse and toy maker, Henry Stauff.
Yeah.
Henry Stauff hides in the shadows, and there is a dark power here, shrouded in mysteries. Who is the 7th guest? Was it you? Was it me? What does Henry want with them, and who will live to tell the tale? As you explore the eerie mansion, the puzzles become increasingly challenging, and there are dangers lurking around every corner, with every shadow, creak, and flicker of light adding to the haunting tension. Unlock new rooms and uncover hidden secrets, all while trying to keep your wits about you against the eerie horrors. The 7th Guest VR is the ultimate adventure for fans of mystery puzzle games and those seeking a new and terrifying VR experience.
Samson.
Well, Dan, I'm glad that the puzzles don't begin hard and get easier as time goes.
Samson, as someone who's not a massive fan of horror titles or anything like that, but loves his puzzle titles, is this something on your radar?
Yeah, this is on my radar for the volumetric recordings they've done of all these people.
Yeah. That's really cool.
That's why I'll be getting in playing.
Yeah, so if people don't know, the motion capture of the 6 guests looks really cool in VR. I mean, I've not seen it in VR yet. Obviously, it comes out today. But just looking on trailers and people who have played it, they basically appear like they're holograms / ghosts in the actual game, and I'm really intrigued to see what that actually looks like in Quest. But I'm going to buy this right now. As you're listening to this podcast, I have bought this game, and I will play this game, and I am excited. I'll play it until I get stuck, is what I'm going for. I actually don't think this is going to be too... it says terrifying VR experience. I'm not sure if it's going to be...
I don't think it'll be too scary.
No, I don't think it'll be too scary. Obviously, the PC version back in the day, the CD-ROM one, that was more of a point-and-click kind of puzzle adventure kind of game. I mean, still a puzzle, mystery puzzle game, but wasn't really scary at all, according to my dad. But obviously, this is now in VR. You're going to be in the mansion, and I'm really excited to play this game. It's going to be the game that I'm going to play for the next week. I'll be talking about it more for sure, because it's going to be the game that I'll be playing for the whole week for sure, until I get stuck, as you always do with puzzle games, and I have to look it up. And there's only CD-ROM tutorials. I'm like, this isn't...
Dan, you got to get back in hubris. Dan, you got to get back in hubris.
That's true, hubris. But anyway, moving on, we've got Sushi Ben, which is also out on the 19th of October, featuring exciting 3D manga panels. Sushi Ben is a narrative adventure game where you will fish, catch bugs, snap photos, and more, all to save a beloved local sushi bar from those dastardly land sharks. This is not the game I thought it was going to be. Meet the colorful cast of Sushi Ben, the residents of Kotobuki Town. From your friendly neighborhood landlady to mysterious shrine janitor, you'll have to complete quests to get them to dine for you. Utilizing 3D manga panels for powerful visual storytelling, players will be transported to the colorful port town of Kotobuki. Sushi Ben's lively cast of characters lead you through the fun quests that will leave you excited to meet the next town person. This is not the game I thought it was going to be. I thought when I was reading this, you'll be catching fish, preparing them, and making your own sushi at your restaurant. But this is completely not it. Is this on your radar, Samson? Because it isn't on mine.
Yeah, I've been keeping up with this dev for quite some time. They've been on the VR verdict, and I think the dev is a part of his roundtable on Fridays. Mm-hmm. That said, I've never played it, but I've seen a lot of screenshots and sort of shorts of it. Looks visually cool. I don't think it's generally my type of game, but I'm intrigued by its visuals.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I'm not into manga. I feel like in a different life I would be, but this one I'm not. So it's not really for me. So let's move on to the next one.
I like supporting, devs like this small team too. So maybe I do that. Throw you under the bus there for not doing that real quick. Suddenly.
Onwards.
Anyway, Snow Wars.
Onwards
and upwards. Snow Wars. Step into the immersive world of Snow Wars. Gather your friends and prepare for thrilling snowball battles with up to 8 players, where skill and strategy will lead you to victory. Snow Wars brings a refreshing twist to the shooting game genre by offering a casual yet engaging gameplay experience without any violence or bloodshed. I played a little bit of this in playtest. It felt weird. I'm definitely intrigued in how much it's changed and grown, because this was a while ago. Here's the thing. Its single player was not great. It didn't look like it was very... this is mostly a multiplayer game. And I fear for only multiplayer games coming to the Quest store, especially at $20.
Absolutely. I think if it's only multiplayer, free to play is the only way, to be honest. But if it's just solely multiplayer, unless it's a big title, it's hard to get people in. You
ready for it, Dan? You ready for it? In a year, or within a year, this game goes free to play, giving everybody who bought it, some really cool, like Pop 1 did it.
I agree.
Cosmetics,
all right, then the final game that is out this week. There might be other ones on App Lab, but we don't really read that one out. We got Survivor Man, from the makers of the hit TV series Survivor Man. Survive on an Arctic nightmare as a sole survivor of a helicopter crash on a freezing mountain. lost, cold, and with darkness closing in. Can you build a fire and shelter to brave the elements? They should rename this Being Canadian. To be honest, because most Canadians can relate to this. Test your survival skills in Survivorman VR: The Descent, an authentic and dynamic experience in the breathtaking Canadian Arctic. There we go. Face real-world extreme challenges that push your intellect, emotions, and physical abilities to the limit. Under the expert guidance of legendary survivalist Les Stroud, rely on your skills and resourcefulness to save your own life. I'm really sad that this is not a Survivor game. It is Survivor Man. This is not the one with Jeff. This is not the one that's been 45 seasons and counting. So I was disappointed. But I'm sure people who do watch Survivor Man might be excited.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. It doesn't look
great. Yeah, I saw a polar bear trying to attack you at one stage, or just a snow bear. But yeah, I don't know. You never know with these games. They, like you said, support the little devs. Go for it. Oh, these are a TV license game, I guess.
Hell yeah. But, I mean, it looks bad. Yeah, it looks
perfect. Bad. Anyway, that will wrap up this jumbo part 1 podcast. You're basically getting 2 podcasts this week. Let's be honest. So.
Double the pleasure, double the fun.
Next week, we will be talking about the 7th Guest VR for sure, because I'll be having it, and then Walkabout Mini Golf. We'll get into that, as well as any other fun news and such. If you're listening today on the Discord, we're going to host a playthrough for the Walkabout Mini Golf Widows Walkabout at probably 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. So join us on the Discord. On the All Things multiplayer or the Walkabout multiplayer. I don't know if we have a separate one for that on there. The code will be the standard code, and I'll just leave it as that for the Discord members. Right.
It's for it's those in the know.
It's those in the know. All right. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. Stay tuned for part 2. Like I said, we have the interview with Robin Moulder, which is a really fun interview, and she was really great. And honestly, we could have talked for another 2 hours, but we kept it short-ish. So
yeah, we wanted to keep it short-ish.
Yeah, we wanted to. Anyway, enjoy that, and we will see you all next week.
Enjoy the 20-minute interview. See you next time on letstalkoculus.
Hey, we know public lobbies in VR games can be a bit toxic, feel a bit empty at times. That's why we created the Let's Talk Oculus Discord, a friendly community that you can join for multiplayer meetups, general VR chat, the game, and chat about VR, fitness motivation, and there's even a very impressive 3D printing channel. Join over 100 of our community members in the Let's Talk Oculus Discord for free. The link is right in the description.
All right, welcome back to part 2. Part 2, we have joining us Robin Moulder, who is the CEO at 3 Pound Games. As you may remember as well, we had the community manager of 3 Pound Games, live open mic. He was on the show for LTO 101. But welcome, Robin. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hello. I am awesome. I've been traveling around quite a bit lately, and very excited about Grocket and how well it's already being received. So
thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm excited to talk about Grocket because this is pretty much a mixed reality game. It obviously has the virtual reality elements. There's different scenes that you can obviously go into that mode if you want to, but it feels like it is made for pass-through. It's made for mixed reality, which just sounds perfect for obviously the new hardware, the Quest 3. So Robin, to kind of kick us off here, for anyone who's thinking, what the hell is Grocket? Can you give us like a quick maybe overview of what this game is, what type of game
I mean, to be honest, I hope that after you play the game, you're still saying, what the hell is Grocket? That would make me so happy.
What did I just do?
Right? What is this madness? Grocket is our answer to the difficult challenges of getting people into a headset and getting people into just playing games and having fun with people. And we've made a lot of heavy, rich, beautiful, magnificent games. Space Dragon is incredible. Vault of Stars. Complexity is high. and engagement's high as well. But you kind of need to know a little more about how to use the controllers and stuff about gaming. You need to be a little bit of a gamer to play those games. And we recognize that a lot of people coming into these headsets now are not. They're not necessarily gamers, or they don't recognize putting the controllers together like, oh, well, it's just like the old controllers I used to play, and they're ripped apart. Because that's what we all did.
Yeah.
So I thought back to the games that I loved that worked really well with other types of non-gamers. WarriorWare was just a big favorite of mine. You just like throw the controller. It was on the Wii. You'd throw the controller around like, oh, it's your turn. Hurry up, get on there. And you had to figure this stuff out. Boom, the card dropped. Answer the telephone. And you're like, boom, okay. Crazy stuff. And I'm like, this could work. Like this is the thing. This is the thing we need right now, is to tap into what's easy, what's fun, and what's fast. And then move on to the next thing before you even have a chance. So we're doing that, and then we're also ramping that up in complexity so that you're doing fast, fun mini games and you're just having a good time with your friends. And we layered in all the complexity and hid it from you. So hand tracking in multiplayer, that's hard, with deterministic physics, oh my, and mixed reality, not just pass through, but also we have the room. We have the room elements, the couch, tables, that sort of thing. And we turn those into things in the game as well. So when you shoot the ice bolt and it hits that fire demon up there, and it's between you and I, and it falls down and it's right over top of my table, we both see and experience that fire demon turning into an ice fire demon, frozen, a popsicle, if you will, and crashing on the table. And we both see it, we both hear it. And that's wonderful, because now, like, oh yeah, you're really here with me. You're actually playing this game with me. And it's quick. And you're like, oh, I get it. This is easy. And before you know it, you're really good at it. And that's the ramp. We want to get people into that fun ramp. And we just love making cool, weird little things. And this also gave us as developers that chance to just explore our kind of zany side.
Yeah, you've given us dragons on our hands, and now you're the first one I tried in Grocket was the one with the sharks, where both of your hands, all the way up to like your forearms, are pretty much these like, I mean, they're not giant sharks, they're like baby sharks, but they feel massive because they're attached.
They
to
remind
my
me of
arms.
like a shark glove, like a muppet, like a puppet. If you would hold a shark puppet.
Yeah, there's actually a little bit of a history on that level. Way back in the day, we tried to make a game called Sharks for Arms. And this was me sitting around thinking, what would be the coolest superpower to have? And it would be like to have sharks on your arms. You could just gnaw at anything you want, right? And run through a level like rah, 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 rah. And there's so much more you could do with this, because sharks have sort of regenerative properties, a lot of science behind these things. So of course you could shoot the shark off your arm and it would go launch and go bite something and then grow another arm of a shark. And this is a long time ago, and we did this as a Kickstarter, and it never really got off the ground.
Oh, wow.
In part because we always envisioned it as a first person game. But at the time on mobile, that didn't really work because you got two arms. How are you going to do this? So it didn't translate well to mobile, but it was made for VR. Absolutely. Or mixed reality, because now I can see it. Now I can really chomp it away.
It was cool having my room be all water. I remember thinking like, wait, should I hold my breath?
Yeah, that was cool. Just to, because... I just want to kind of resonate with what you were saying there, Robin, in terms of why you made this game, because obviously the Quest 3 has just come out and there's a ton of fun new experiences on there, especially in mixed reality. And I've been passing it to people, like I've been passing it to my partner and my roommate as well. Just they're gamers, but they're not like VR gamers and such. And just passing in like first encounters to them so you can really see how cool that whole experience is. And they loved it. It's a very simple game. And Meta do a really good job when they do create these demo experiences, like first encounters, like first hands, and I forget the other one, First Steps, I think, with the
Yeah,
robot
the
dancing and such.
the dancing robot guy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They make these really good experiences, which are so easy for people to go in and learn how to use the controllers and such. But then it kind of stops. Like every other game
Right.
now becomes harder, and it depends on the game. Obviously, like with hand tracking, it makes it a little bit easier. Something like Cubism is an easy game to give to someone because they can figure that out. But if they want to go, okay, now let's play Assassin's Creed Nexus, or now let's play
Right.
Walking Dead and
Right.
such, the it's a big jump, unless you're really dedicated like us probably to learn this stuff and such. But if you're just casually just checking out someone's VR headset, there's too much of a gap. And I like how Grocket is kind of tapping into that little mid part where it's like, okay, these are a little bit more advanced or can get there, depending on which game you're playing. But it achieves the same thing. It's perfect for someone who's very casual and wants to just dive in and just
if
play around with your
with
hands,
your
basically.
friends.
Yeah, with your friends too.
Yeah.
Have
And all
superpowers.
That's what I wanted to do. Yeah, I wanted to play with my friend, but I don't have. Long story short, I have 2 quests, but they're both in my name, and neither are my
I
shared account
know.
because I have a third
Yeah.
quest somewhere
Yeah.
else.
I wish we could get
So I
that,
wasn't
that
able
problem
to.
fixed.
Yeah, but it's like now I just got to convince some of my other friends when I see them, then we can play.
You know what it's like? It's almost like you want to do like RC cars where it's programmed at like, 401.2 hertz, and then you could set the other one to another one. Because a lot of us are like that. A lot of us have multiple headsets, and you want to be able to just share your headsets.
Right. Yeah,
but because of that licensing problem, you can't really do that. I know it absolutely makes sense. And for sure, as a developer, you don't want people to cheat the licensing. But also as a developer, I want you to play with your friends. They'll go buy a headset. This would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, I would let you do it. And thank you for that, Dan. Absolutely. That is the sweet spot we're trying to be in, is we're trying to take you from that first little bit, and we've all been there. We put somebody in the headset and that first bit goes real well. And then, right, where do you go from there? We're like, oh, here, play Space Dragon. They're like, this is maybe fun, but I'm a little, it's a little much for me right now. And we're trying to build that ramp. And if we can get that ramp like this, then we can get you there. So, right now we have really super simple games like the chomping with the sharks, the claws out, that's super simple. Then shooting is actually a little harder because you're now putting your hand positionally how you're going to shoot. It takes you a little tiny bit to get that down. Then when you get to the fourth, now it's a little more complicated. And I noticed that it takes people.
That was particularly hard. Yeah.
Right, but the third
eventually
time,
I got it, but I was like, "What's
right?
going on?" Yeah.
And that's
but
kind
the
of where
first
we're
time I was
trying
like,
to get to.
"What am I doing here?"
Like what? Yeah, absolutely. I see people kind of doing a little bit too much of this. And you're like, no, it's just take it easy, just guiding.
Exactly. It was a slower movement,
right?
I was doing this all the time.
I did particularly like the balloons. I think it was in part there's pretty good sound design, and it with the music playing. I think during that one, I was just like bopping him, and I was imagining myself like having to move around people and trying to like get the most. But since I wasn't playing against anybody, I could kind of take my time and beep bop around.
Were you on all fours?
I did like that one.
Were you on all fours as well?
No, the balloons are just floating up. I let them.
I thought you
let them
became
come to
your
me.
inner cat and actually were on fours and jumping.
No. I'll save that for laser dance.
You actually get bonus points for that. I mean, we can make that happen. It does. When there's 4 people playing, it gets really competitive, and you're just like, meh.
Yeah.
And you start walking. You'll start like physically walking over to the edge of where the rooms are connected and like slapping into their space. Like, oh, I could reach into there. I can get in there and get that balloon, get it away from that person.
So when you play in the same space, are you sharing the same play space? Or is it separate?
What we're doing is you're in your room, I'm in my room, you're in your room, and they're pulled together like this, so that we're creating this ring. So you're in a shared space, but because we're also getting your furniture, your room elements, that means we kind of keep you in a way that you can see those room elements and interact with those room elements. And this is an area we're tapping into even more with the walls. So imagine when we're doing the force, another level up higher will be blockers and will be like punch throughs. So if I see that the goal is in the other room and I have to really navigate around because there's blockers, it's going to get more complicated. We actually have a really awesome Halloween treat coming out very, very soon with the Force, where you're reanimating skeletons.
Oh, okay.
It just seems like
I'm seeing a lot of Halloween theme. I like it.
It seems like wacky fun.
Not in this game.
You know, this game. And you're right. I can see the inspiration from somewhere like WarioWare of just, this is just some random stuff packaged in. And like you said, even when I played it, I was playing it this morning and I was like, still don't have a clue what this game is. But, you know, it's like, what is coffee? And I guess that's the whole idea. It's just, you're having fun. You're just having fun in it. You're messing around with all the different hand elements, and it's really cool because all the hand tracking stuff you do, so all the different tools, like there's a mode where you can just go into your room and then you just have all of the tools and such like available to you and you can just play around, and they're so cool because they all like intuitively work. You know, like they all feel like what you would think. Like if you had the ice blaster, for example, you get, if I do this, it's gonna do ice and such. And I guess just to address that for the listeners.
Obviously, this hand's going to like shoot ice blasts. Right?
Exactly. I was about to say, just to address it to the viewers and listeners, if you don't know what grok means, we wrote it down. It's to understand something intuitively or by empathy. So hence the name Grocket as the actual title, because I didn't have a clue what this game was until I jumped in.
No, you intuitively understood what it was.
And that's the idea.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Can you talk a little bit about the process of designing and developing the micro games and like how you were able to strike the balance of simplicity versus creativity and fun?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a very large spreadsheet with a lot of columns where we all come up with crazy ideas all the time. I mean, I go and get on the treadmill and 5 minutes later, I'm running back to my computer with another, you know what else we could do? And so in order to stay on task,
ideas,
so in order to stay on task, it's really helpful to just throw it on a list. And then once you throw it on a list, then you can talk it through and go, okay, well, what if we were actually to do this crazy idea? What does that actually look like? And where does it fall? Is this going to be, a simple hand gesture? Is this going to be one of the more complicated ones? So we rated where we thought it fit in the ramp. So we rated where you are on the ramp. And then we're trying to like place a couple in the ramp here, a couple in the ramp here, a couple in the ramp here, so that when you're going through them, they become more complicated and you're going to build more and more confidence in virtual reality and mixed reality. So it's mostly a lot of like refining and going back and forth. And, there's always, we're like the crazy cat crew. So there's a lot of like meowing about all this business and like, oh, you know what else would be cool? Yeah, you're right. Let's do that, So it's a very collaborative experience at 3 Pound where if anyone can say anything crazy and we just roll with it for a few minutes and see if it sounds good. And if it sounds good, it's a little Disney-esque. There's a Disney process where you could be in the dream room and anything goes in a dream room. You can say whatever you want. You don't need to worry about reality, budgets. Who cares? Just say whatever you want. Nobody's going to squash it. And then you start getting into the like, okay, well, could we really do this? Could we really pull this off? And then there's sort of the realist room at the end where now you're really thinking about, well, how long is it going to take? And we need special art? Do we need to like custom make anything? Is there technology limitations? Maybe we can't do that now. Maybe we can do this later. And then we are now cutting across with, how fun is this? So sometimes we're prototyping it out to test it out. But some things that sound fun aren't. And other things that sound just dumb are amazing. And you don't really know until you get into the headset all the time. And we've also had a lot of experience with Vault of Stars. In Vault of Stars, for example, when you take your energy, you're flying through the air as a spirit of light to try to figure out why you're even here. on the island of souls, like there's void creatures you're fighting and all kinds of things. And one thing you have to do is transform your energy into a golem body. So you put your hand on this crystal and now you've transformed yourself, and then snap, now I'm in a golem, and now I am the golem. And now I can do lots of physical items. And all of these things always turn into us having a really good time with the mechanic. We have motes in there that when you're a spiritite, you could shoot the motes and they could die. Or when you're in the golem, you can grab the motes and squish them. That's a lot of fun. I could squish those motes all day long.
Yeah.
And so that you could see how that turns
squishing.
into a claws out kind of thing, because that's the same thing as like claws out, scratching the balloon, as squishing the mote in the game. Very similar mechanic. And we already knew that was fun. So we knew this would be fun. And sharks for arms, come on, that's just so obvious. How could that not be fun?
How can they not be fun?
Sharks with freaking lasers on their heads.
Yeah,
Right.
It's like
Right.
Sharknado.
That was always on the list of like, and that's an up.
It is right. The most, sometimes the dumbest sounded things are actually the most fun, especially in a virtual space and such. So I was gonna ask too, is why the choice of mixed reality as like the main way to play this game? Sure, you have, like I said, there's virtual options as well, but it seems like the main marketing of this is more to do with the pass-through and the mixed reality. And I know mixed reality is a big new feature for the Quest 3, but obviously for Quest 2 it didn't really exist. I mean, you could do it, but who does do it and such? So why going that route in terms of mixed reality, then more focusing on virtual, and then just saying that there's a pass-through available if you want to do it? Like, why the focus on mixed reality?
It was for us, it's that time dilation problem. And you get into, if you think about when you're in VR and you're actually playing a heavy game, first of all, you go into the menu and you're scrolling through, what am I going to play? How much time do I have? Blah, 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 blah. You're going through all these calculations. Your time in VR is going down. Like, you can only be in VR for so long before you're kind of fatigued. And it very much reminds me of, scrolling through Netflix and you don't know what you want to watch, right? There's some amount of time before you've scrolled and you're like, forget it, I don't care anymore. And you throw the remote across the room because you're like, I'm wasting my time. And that happens in VR too. If you're scrolling through the menus and you're just doing stuff, that's your VR time going tick, 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 tick before you're thinking, well, I've been in here an awfully long time. You haven't. But when you're in VR, time moves differently in your brain. And when you're in mixed reality, it's much closer to real time. So I've noticed I can sit there in the menu and I can be like, oh, wow, check out this new game. Let me watch this video. Yeah. And it's just like, I'm just hanging out in my room. That feels really good. And so for us to do a game that's deep with the mixed reality and hitting the pass-through and also bringing those room elements in means that people will stay in mixed reality longer. If I can keep you in mixed reality longer and keep you in the headset longer, you might try some of those virtual reality games.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like,
I do like that,
building it up.
Grok, when you boot it up, it loads in mixed reality as opposed to booting into a VR where then you have to switch into mixed reality. I did like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, from the ground up, this is a mixed reality, hand tracking first. Let's go straight for the latest and greatest features and leverage everything.
I love the UI where you actually physically push a button. Dead Second did this, and so yeah, I'm a huge fan. This is a big start target, and you just like, I always punch it. I know you don't got it.
I do too, actually.
Yeah, I
mean,
like,
that's fun.
Start. Yeah,
feel powerful. Like hitting stuff like that.
I do like the UI. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah. I also wanted to mention, for obviously people who haven't seen this game, it is on App Lab right now as early access. And a few of the mini games I wrote down just so you can kind of know. I mean, you might understand from what we're speaking about, but we've got, I'm not even going to say what they're called. I'm just going to describe them. So one, you have shark for arms and you have to eat the fish. The other one, you turn into a cat and have to pop balloons. One of them, you have to shoot ice from your hands to freeze these. What would you call them? Little demons, kind of thing, or
Yeah, like demon balloons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
they're like the fire imps, I guess. I think we're calling them that because they're fire
yeah.
imps. So they in the future world they would run around and be like blasting fire at you, like these are level 1 versions of the game. We'll be like creating level 2 versions. Just WarioWare did this too, but there was multiple scales in the game itself. So if you got like a level 1 game, you're like, oh, that was easy, boom, got that taken care of. And then you get like a level 3 game, you're like, oh, okay, I actually failed. And then you're also kind of happy about this because you need to be challenged, and you need that reward structure from a gamification standpoint of this needs to be just challenging enough that I go, wow, I did that. I can do VR. This is so cool. Look at me. I'm doing it.
Yeah. Have you the thing I really liked about First Encounters, the demo experience you have on MetaQuest 3 is that you had the mixed reality stuff, which was cool, but one of the really coolest things is when your like walls start to break and you see the virtual world. Have you ever thought of maybe incorporating some virtual elements within the mixed reality play space? Because right now you have your elements in your room, and I guess the shark one does this one really well, where it adds like a layer of water across the whole room, so it feels like you're in the aquarium. But have you thought about maybe going into that aspect of adding more virtual objects with the walls and such like that?
Absolutely. The limitations there have just been on some of these mixed reality elements, making sure that we have everything we need to make this work really, really well. We can, if you go into your room, then if you pick windows and you put windows in your room, like your actual real room, and you do the room objects of window, then you go into your room in the game, you'll see outside of the virtual reality room out.
Oh yeah.
So we have a little bit of that going on there.
Cool.
And we're definitely adding, like when you shoot the ice blast, to get some of the like cracks on the walls, and
That's cool.
The next layer of introducing some of those combined elements into that play space. So yeah, that's definitely coming up in a future version. Lots of crazy stuff, ripping off the roof, the usual insane things that you want to do. We got quite a few game elements that we want to go full over the top with. We really wanted to get these basic ones out first, and then go back and just keep adding more and more complexity and more engagement, heavier treatment. See how it goes. See what people like. See what they're into.
I want the floor to an earthquake, floor breaks. It's just, and now I'm standing on the only thing left, and then I gotta things come up that I gotta walk on or something. I don't know.
Chilly Willy, right? Right. It's like this was on my list too, like a ice block game. Yeah, where the ice blocks are dropping down. They're blocks.
Exactly.
And like, oh no, what am I going to do about this? Right? Yeah, you're like, oh, I got to get off of this. I love that stuff.
So I do want to. So the game is $15, and I'm curious how y'all came up with that price.
The pricing in the store is absolutely a challenge because you just don't know where to go. This game's very complex, even though it seems very simple. And we know that we're going to add a lot more content. So we want to make sure that it's valued and people understand the value of the game because it is complicated. And also, we're going to keep adding cool stuff. So it's, this isn't all you get. You're getting more. Absolutely. At some point, we're going to have built out a bunch of mini games that's this release. And then we're probably going to go out and build some special packs, that sort of thing. Maybe try to get some IP licenses, that sort of, like get some other creators in, build out cool games there. So, but this is just a start, and we're going to be adding a lot more. So people supporting it at this level is greatly appreciated because we can keep building and we can keep adding more content.
I think $15 is a fantastically fair price for this.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
I do feel like I'd get more out of it if I had like one other person in real life close to me that I could be like, yo, come like play this game. Though I imagine we don't have to be in the same space to play multiplayer, or no?
Oh no,
I
yeah,
didn't
it's
try actually.
all remote.
Yeah. So that's next on my list to try that.
How is the?
Yeah, we could get a game. We should get a game together with Mike.
Oh, absolutely.
Problem is, we're actually kind of too good at it, though. That's really.
That's fair.
You don't want to. You do not want to play this game with my creative director. Wow.
We'll have to play teams. I get Mike and you and Dan.
Yeah, that would be more fair. That would be more fair.
That could work.
Robin, how was the initial response from the game? Because obviously you showed it off at EGX in London this past weekend. How has been the initial response? That obviously you're not in London, but like, did you get any feedback from what you heard?
We've gotten a lot of really positive feedback. I got incredible feedback over at Meta Connect. Everybody loved it. They think it's a great idea. And it's exactly what you guys are saying. A lot of people are recognizing this as, wow, it's super slick and super easy and showcases all the cool new features. And it's stupidly fun. Like, how can you go wrong with this? Mm-hmm. So this is great. We're super excited because it's hitting all the marks that we wanted to. It's gotten reviews. It's gotten in the top 20 mixed reality games to play on a 50,000 sub channel. So we're getting really early positive feedback, which again is just encouraging us to do crazier stuff. So keep it coming.
I'm glad. I only.
You want those lasers? You want lasers in the short, guys? Let's go, right?
I think. I'm glad because, like I said, I think there's a massive gap for this. I think the only game that I remember is I think Waltz of the Wizard did a really good like hand tracking kind of game where it was the same thing where there's like wacky things happening and you're just using your hands and getting your hands wet inside the like potion and all that stuff, and that was cool. And it was just like I just want more of that to like play around with these new features, and especially because of the Quest 3 with mixed reality. Everyone wants to play mixed reality games right now because that's the hot thing right now. We want to see what it can do with the Quest. Yeah, I know. I've not really played proper VR games on this Quest 3 since I've got it, to be honest. It's been mostly mixed reality just to try this new feature. So I think you're tapping into a great market, and I'm really excited to kind of see how this game grows. And I want to also ask you, obviously being in mixed reality, there's going to be different challenges compared to just doing it in virtual reality. What are like some of the big challenges that you faced doing it in mostly mixed reality title compared to just a virtual one?
It's the biggest one is movement. So when we're in virtual reality, we just move, go walk around, like hand guided. We got an entire suite of movement systems. We even have that on the Unity Asset Store, and now we're saying stand, and you can walk around your room. So we're sliding back into the room scale thing. So now I have to think, okay, how can I keep this a little more contained and still make it fun, as opposed with virtual reality where we could just keep you we could just put you on rails. We just keep you going to the next space, the next thing, next engagement area. And now we're saying, okay, well, I need to transition it to you, and that changes everything. Yeah. I think it's good. I think it's cool for the person to be the center of the world, because that's really what we're doing in mixed reality. This is about you and about stuff coming to you and you goofing around and having a good time. It's almost like when you're like a little kid, and the coolest thing is when you go to the doctor's office and they have that big thing with the beads, playing with that thing for hours. I know, it's so stupid, and you're ridiculous. Just like fascinated by this thing because it's fun and it's very spatial and it's very 3D and it's just a very active kind of game, and where there's throwing you back into those moments of when you were a child and just doing silly things with your friends. And also mimicking and mirroring your friends. Because as soon as you look over and somebody's better at this game than you watch their hands and you're like, oh, now I know what to do. Yeah. I got it. I grokked it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was the perfect way.
Just today I was playing mixed reality and I was playing Spatial Ops, and it's a game where you sort of run around and you have like fake things that you can hide behind. So I'm like running around my driveway looking like and it reminded me of being a kid. Like you use like fake guns and you're like, pew, 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 pew. I got you. And you're just running around with your friends. And it's a different experience. I don't know. I don't want to get blinded by like, oh, it's new and like it's amazing, it's great, but I'm enjoying it. I don't know how much I'll continue to do it. I do think it's a great way to show VR or to intro people to it, right? Mm-hmm. Like I had a friend visit me and I put her in and she put it on. She'd used the Quest 2, but when you boot into the Quest 3, it's right in mixed reality. And she was like, whoa, this is way better. I like this already.
Yeah. I mean, you feel like you're in the future. You're reflecting back to the number of movies that was Johnny Mnemonic and you're, swiping through and you're grabbing this menu and just putting it where you want. Wow. The direct touch, boop, and it actually, gives you that kind of pushback. And this is it. Like, we're here, and now we can do anything we want.
You mentioned the direct touch, and I saw some content creators talk about how they'd miss haptic feedback. And I realized that didn't even cross my mind. And I think that my brain has been doing some sort of phantom touch where when I hit that menu, there's an audio sound that the UI makes. And in my head, like I feel myself touching it. And it's like it never even occurred to me that I wasn't getting haptic feedback.
Yeah. Isn't that is fascinating, isn't it? Because haptics, playing a haptics thing, vibration is an audio file. It's literally the same print. And they used to do this back in the day that I could take my audio file, like, oh, I made this multi-stage explosion in Space Dragon. Cool. I could take that audio file and I could shove it through the haptics and you would feel it the same way that you're seeing it and hearing it. And unfortunately, that got changed because I think some people were burning the batteries a little bit.
Yeah. The Rumble does.
So they took that away from us developers, but fortunately, they have brought it back. So that's kind of fun. So when there are controllers in a game, you're going to be able to have that cool experience back. But I feel like that too, and a lot of it has to do with the audio. If you get the audio just right, that the audio ramps into it just the right way, then your brain's taking over the rest and going, oh, right, this is what 100%. Happens. Oh, I feel like I felt that.
The one I got to resonate with that actually 100%. Is the one that you turn into a cat or you actually just get cat paws. It's just the when you open your hands, what do you call cat nails? I don't know what you call claws. That's it. Your claws open like a Wolverine style, right? And you feel it in your hands, even though it's all because the sound design is really good. I'm very impressed with the sound design in this game. It's really impressive. And
thank you.
I just kept doing this open, close, because it felt like I had these on my hands without actually having any haptic gloves on. Obviously having haptic gloves is going to be the most perfect, level of immersion to have that. But it's so close, It's amazing how important sound design is for immersion in a virtual reality.
Yeah, it really, right. The challenge was there. I mean, I went through a lot of sound on those nails, like each nail. Okay, one nail, then what's it like to have multiple nails? And do I do all 5 or do I just do 3? I ended up on 3 actually. So it's like, because it's too many. Because 2 of them would overlap anyway, logically, right? So I'm kind of like cheating your brain a little bit, but it always works because when you do that, I guarantee you that 2 and 2 would have come out about the same rate, but because of that, they're overlapping, and that way they built this kind of like profile presence of that sound thing of like
so good.
So yeah, I spent a lot of time on that.
I think you nailed the nails.
Thank you. It was it makes
challenge.
Me
want a Wolverine game where I have Wolverine hands and now I just want to crawl through like, I don't know, like sacks of hay or something like a pinata or something like that. Just to, I mean, maybe this can be added into Rocket. I'm just
That could be, yeah, sacks of hay. What would I shred the hay for?
Just like shredding through.
The hay baler.
It's like,
Actually, really, with cats though, really, it should just be rolls of toilet paper. You're like,
that's true.
It's not gonna.
That's true. I kind of wanted to pivot a little bit and ask your experience in the Meta Connect. Obviously, you went down in person, and have you been before to the Facebook Connects in the past, or was this your first time?
Yeah, I'm an old school OC5, OC6. Those were at some large conference center that I can't remember the name of. And they were cool. OC5 was very cool. There was this big esports section, and magical to see all of these things on huge screens wrapping around. And, that was really, really fun and engaging. And then OC6, they pivoted to be a little more business-like, still a lot of fun. And, of course, and us developers have a great time at these things because we're like, oh, hey, I haven't seen you and, or people that you only know on Discord and you get to meet them for the first time. So for us, it's a magical experience to connect with people who we're working with in the industry and maybe we're like publishing or actually meeting some of the people at Meta that you work with all the time. You just don't get to actually see their faces. So that's really cool. This one was extra special because it was on campus. And many of us have been to that campus a bunch of different times and in different little areas for different things. And now it was as much of the area as you can imagine opened up. And for developers, it was great to be in there and know where you are. It reminds me very much of like all the talking points that we all say for digital twinning. I want you to already have a feeling that you've been there before. And so for them to do this at the campus made me super relaxed. I'm like, oh yeah, I know where this is and I know where that is. And oh, hey, so-and-so, it's so great to see you. And they pulled in, this year they pulled in different groups. So there were the developer, us types, the deep developer types. Then there were the Horizon developers. And they brought in like the YouTube and the social media influencers,
content creators, really great mix of people in that. Like I got to meet all kinds of Meta Horizon creators that I never would have met in a million years. And there's some really, really good cross connects there. They all have other cool backgrounds too. Just great opportunities to just hang out and have a lot of ice cream. And yes, there was ice cream and little cupcakes with little Meta symbols on them.
Oh, fun.
I know you're shocked.
Yeah. That's fun. I never thought about the food.
And it was exciting. It was
that Meta provides.
Right. Yeah, they're just feeding you all day. It was just super.
Bay Area has some good food.
That's great. And what?
Yeah, I mean, it was an all day event. We got all kinds of there was all the fresh new information for us ahead of time. There was feedback. We got to get feedback a lot. It was fantastic. And then it's the multi-layers of all the different people. Another thing that was cool was the glasses. So I know we're VR people and we're really into that. The Ray-Bans. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to get them because they were great. And the people that were doing the demos of the Ray-Bans were the actual people working on the products. So that means I got a sweet demo where the guy's geeking out with me and telling me how cool these are and all the and he's pointing it out. He's like, you see this one over here? Look really close. There's a camera right there. And I'm like, that's so cool. And then he's doing a demo and giving me the spatial audio demo. And I'm stoked because, I'm an audio person. So I'm like, oh yeah, I could just be like, hey, Meta, start recording, and I'm getting the spatialized audio plus what I'm looking at. Fantastic. And then you're starting to think about all the future possibilities of what's next and using AI in these glasses. And can I have a API and can I put stuff in there? What's the next glass is going to be as we get to this stack of from the glasses up to our Meta devices? We're getting closer and closer every year.
They're slowly, they're just going to merge. Yeah, exactly. I was just talking to a friend about that today. when I told them how well, I was very surprised at how well the Quest 3 works outside tracking wise, when compared to the Quest 2. And I was like, this is just the Ray-Bans and the Quest line getting closer and closer until eventually one day they can combine the two. But yeah, I have the Gen 1 Ray-Bans. I love them as sunglasses. But yeah, Gen 2 definitely seems way cooler technology-wise.
Okay, so I also wanted to ask you, Robin, in terms of just the headset itself, like, what do you think of the Quest 3 now that it's out on like a developer standpoint? Like, have you probably had it for a bit now and such?
Yeah,
so
it's
what are
been
your
hard
what
to
are your
keep my
thoughts
mouth
on it?
shut, quite frankly, because it's great.
So
I do
fun.
love it. It's quite the testament, though, considering you'll suddenly realize how long those batteries are lasting in your controllers because you're not using them as much because you're using hand tracking. That's kind of fun, like right there. And
Yeah.
I really love mixed reality, and I love virtual reality too. Mixed reality it's just so freeing, and it's great to be able to see stuff going on. I mean, sure, you can't perfectly read your phone, but you know what you can do is beep, beep. What was that? Oh, that's not important. I'm going to keep playing my game. Right? That's fantastic. You know, just to have that or walk around. I'm constantly walking around with the headset on. Why would I take it off?
I am too. It's
Yeah.
exactly. It's
I
crazy.
walk down the stairs. I'm like, oh, I need to get a Soylent. Oh, do. And I don't even think anything of it now. I'm just walking around with this headset on because it's good. So just imagine what the next is going to look like, right? You know what I'm most excited about mixed reality in virtual reality, because when you think about the walls and the furniture, that in itself, spatial anchors, spatial volumes, those are part of what mixed reality is all about. So even if it's not pass through, it's in virtual reality, you still use that stuff. And that's kind of fun too, because then that gives you a better sense of where you are in your space, and that makes you feel more comfortable. Because how many of you guys have, like back in the old days, when there's a cable and you're spinning around 9 times and you're like, where am I? Where am I in the room right now? You have no idea.
I got into VR at Quest 1. But it does.
You
It is
skipped the
crazy
old
to
days?
me. Yeah, it is crazy to me that I got my Quest 1 pretty much exactly 4 years ago, and I already own a Quest 3.
Yeah. It's quick. It's a quick turnaround. The ramp is fast.
And how much better it is. Like, there was a massive screen door on that Quest 1.
Yeah. It was cool though. Like,
Doesn't exist anymore, really.
It was exciting times to get that Quest 1 was a big deal to not have to lug a computer that was, PC VR ready. Wow. Trying to explain that to people. Oh, what does that even mean? You're like, oh, here's a website you can go to check your stats and make sure that you could actually use this headset. It was very complicated. When in 2016, when Chris Custodi, my technical director, we first had the HTC Vive, and we're opening the box. There's like 13 boxes to open, and there's satellites. They got like all this stuff. They expect you to drill holes in your wall and install satellites. Wires everywhere. There's cables all over the place. And I'm like, this is not going to scale for the average. I mean, we're stoked about it. Most people are not going to be able to handle this. So we're like, come on, give us a mobile device. This would be so good. And then we got one, and it was good, but it needs to be better. And it was early days. It was early days, right? And we took a step back too. Stuff like Vault of Stars. We actually built that originally with a PC in mind. And we had atmospheric fog. It was like, if you got through and corrected some of the corruption on the island, then the sky would go from a darker purple and reduce that. So you would have a sense of the corruption level. Very complex, very processor intensive. Oh, that ain't going to work on the Quest 1. You're gone. And so we had to do a lot, and we had to reduce a lot, and so did a lot of other developers. And that actually reduced the content on the Quest 1 as well, because a lot of deep, rich games really had a tough time optimizing to fit in the little box. But if you could do it like we did, and you just muscled through the optimization path, we got really good at optimization really fast. And then for the Quest 2, we were already all set, and now we have headroom, and now we're bringing things back. And with the Quest 3, we got love. Now we can do some cool stuff, add some nice fancy particle effects.
Yeah, that box is massive now. Like with that Quest 3, and it's such a great thing to see how far we've come. And yeah, you have to appreciate the older times because you had to get through all that to get where we are right now. But the fun thing is that we're only a week or so in the Quest 3. You know, we've no idea what this is going to look like in a year's time. And that's when like those augmented spatial, I think it's called augments, right? The spatial anchors that are coming next year and such. Features like that is going to go, oh, okay, we're getting closer and closer. And I see a lot of people, and I was one of those where when you did pass through for the first time on Quest 3, I did it at night and it was all grainy and such. And I was like, oh, this is not as good as what people were saying. But then once I started playing a mixed reality game, I was like, oh, it doesn't have to be like super clear. You just need to be good enough where like you can feel the presence in your own world, and like you said, can have a quick look at your phone if you need to and such.
Pet the cat.
But you focused on the mix.
The whole bit. Yeah,
exactly right. That's all you need right now, and it's fantastic to see. And yeah, I'm looking at the Quest as I'm talking.
Longingly.
I'm having ups.
Yeah, I think that people are going to see the future now. Many of us have been beating the drum and saying this is the way, this is the path, this is the future. Spatial computing is where it's at. And it's spatial computing plus AI, which is what we're all doing now. And you could see how we're not going to be talking like this anymore, how we're not going to have computers, how this guy, what do I need him for? Just be right there in my headset. And we could all see that because we know where it's all going. With the Quest 3, more people are going to be able to understand why we're on this path and where 100%. We're going with the path.
Absolutely. I did put out just to plug my own content. I did put out a video today, or earlier on Sunday for people obviously listening to this when it does go live. A day in the life of in mixed reality, where I do go and brush my teeth while watching a video and make pizza dough whilst I'm looking at the method and such in there. So have a look at that video. It's on Playtest VR's which is my own, but YouTube channel. It was a fun one to make, and it's only like 3 minutes long. But also with the Quest 3 and the Quest system as well of being standalone, like you're mentioning, of getting past those barriers of all those wires and PC ready stuff. I'm on the Supernatural Facebook group, and there were so many men and women who were like in their 60s and 70s picking up a Quest 3 because they love using it for fitness. And I'm like, wow, you never see these people getting like a PS5 or anything like that. It's incredible how like this is tapped in not just the people who are like dedicated gamers or anything like that, like it used to be back on PC. It's now opened it up to a lot of people and a lot of demographics who never would have touched this tech
agreed
before, which is so great to see.
The older demographic is really, really interesting. We've seen that too because we're partnered with VR Workout. We've built the back end of that with Unity and work with the CTO over there. I mean, absolutely brilliant guy, Michael. And we've seen that a lot in there as well. There's older demographic that's in there because they don't want to go to the gym. That's boring or whatever. It's also a hassle. It's such a hassle to go to the gym anymore. Like I don't want to go there and get all sweaty and then it's cold outside and now I'm sweaty and I'm getting in my car. There's nothing fun about this. But jumping in a game with some friend of mine who lives halfway across the country and playing a multiplayer game of exercise, I'll do that all day. And they love it. And you actually get some proper strength, full strength exercises. Yeah. I mean, people are like even kind of looking at Rocket like a fitness game because you're moving around so much. And you're just like actually getting a lot of action and stuff like that. And the fact that it's social and silly, all of these things are great. There must be 10 Facebook groups of people, like the 50 plus crowd that just get together and play Walkabout. endlessly because they're just goofing around.
That's most of our Discord community is built on that game. So,
It's a lot of cursing in that game.
that is what, like,
a lot of screaming.
yeah, absolutely. Robin, thank you so much for joining us today. It's I remember before recording, I was like, yeah, we'll probably do 30 minutes or so. And, it always happens when very easy to talk to. And I can see your enthusiasm and such in VR. And I'm very excited to see what Grocket can be, because obviously we're still in early stages. And thank you for sharing, obviously, your MetaConnect experiences and obviously developing a mixed reality. I'm sure a lot of people listening and watching have had a blast listening to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This is super fun. I'm really excited about where all this is going and what we can do with Grocket and how we can get more people into a headset and just playing games and just having fun and just shut off the world for a little bit. Just play 15 minutes of a game. Cool.
Definitely. In the links below, there will be the App Lab link to Grocket as well as £3 Games. So definitely have a look at their other content. Obviously, you probably know that from when we had Mike on the show on 101, but we'll plug it again down below. But thanks a lot, Robin. Thanks a lot for coming on. And for everyone listening and everyone watching, thanks a lot for watching and listening on obviously the podcast. Let us know in the description below if you do pick up Grocket or in the Discord. If you have any feedback, obviously we can pass it over to Robin or Mike.
Absolutely.
As well, who's on the Discord.
We're excited to hear it. Bring it to us.
Anyway, so.
Mike's got his ear on the Discord.
Always.